What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? It's 420 in California. This is DC 420 LA Live.
But I think in terms of marijuana, and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state. I think it's up to the states, yeah. I'm a states person. I think it should be up to the states, absolutely. You know, I know people that are very, very sick, and for whatever reason, the marijuana really helps them.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Terrorists keep terrorizing.
Well, Beauregard, the good people of Oklahoma passed SQ 788, the best little medical marijuana law in the nation. And just 1 week later, 2 new questions gained support. And surprise, one is for recreational. With Senator Chuck Schumer's Marijuana Freedom and Opportunity Act making the rounds and the hemp advancing in the Farm Bill, Chucky and Mitch risk it all by getting photographed near the plant. The FDA is cool with current power to regulate THC, and descheduling might be imminent. And it looks like the California POT-POCOLYPSE was all smoke and fears. This is DC 420 LA Live.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Now broadcasting on BTV, the Cannabis Media Network.
This drug is dangerous. You cannot play with it.
Well, we're going to play with it a little bit today. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? I'm Dave Conan. This is indeed DC 420 LA, The Week in Weed, the show where we get together and spark up, talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, politics of pot, and cannabis cures every Sunday right here on DC 420 LA. And when I say we, of course, I mean my co-host in cannabis, in life, and in everything, Coach Chella.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Coach Chella. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you as well, and to all of you out there.
It's been, listen, it's hot as balls out here in LA.
As they say.
If I may say, my Volt yesterday was revolting. In the heat. It literally shut down the air conditioning and told me to slow down because my engine was overheating. 110 degrees in the valley, and I was like half a mile from the house, and it said, "Nope, this is not going to work." I had Jackpot in the car, which we see. Oh, let's get a shot. Let's look at the boys. The boys are on camera today. We got Jackpot in the chair. We got Oscar, that little dot down there. Oscar needs a key light now.
He does. He's so dark.
He's just the contrast is too much. So we need to get Oscar a key light. Look, he's working on his Kong. They've got their Kongs. How's Jackpot doing with the Kong?
He's doing all right. He knocked it over onto Oscar, which is why Oscar hopped out of his bowl.
I see.
Because he was dropped on.
I see. So he's working the Kong outside the bowl. That's good. We're going to attempt. That's going to see if we're going to keep them on their marks with their Kongs. But welcome everybody. Let me relight my joint here. We are smoking we're smoking Marion Berry today. Marion Berry.
Probably a sativa.
And Tahoe OG, probably a sativa. So that's good. And a little Tahoe OG, and I'm not sure which is which in these joints. So we're going to.
That's all right.
It's going to be a surprise of nice organic collective weed. Because, of course, it was the POT-POCOLYPSE out here in California. July 1st was the new regulations going into effect. And they had to destroy everything that wasn't properly labeled. They couldn't sell it. And it was just tragic. It was tragic. I think maybe that's where the heat wave is coming from all of the pot being destroyed in California.
I'm pretty sure no pot was destroyed. Pretty sure.
Really? You think so? You don't think any pot was destroyed?
I don't think so.
Well, they were saying one dispensary said that they were videotaping anything that they were destroying.
Oh my God.
Just in case down the road the state wants proof.
Wow, that they destroyed it. That sounds a little paranoid. I think they should change strains.
I have to shout out to Periscope because every time somebody jumps into Periscope and I don't acknowledge them,
they run away.
They run away. Hello, Bob Hammond in Periscope.
Bob Hammond.
We are, folks. Let me just a little housekeeping before we get into the news
up in
of the
smoke,
week.
Bob Hammond. That's funny.
It all went up in smoke. Yep, it was all smoke and fears, baby. Welcome, everybody. This is DC 420 LA. We do this every Sunday at 4:20 Pacific right here on YouTube until they decide to kick us off. Facebook almost gave us the boot for spamming because we're there too. We're not spamming. We're industrious people. You won't let us advertise on Facebook for the content. At least let us share our damn show.
That's right. With the people that want to hear about our damn show.
I know. With the people that are in cannabis groups and in progressive groups.
Other people complained about it. It's just that it was them.
And so we're in Facebook. So let us know where you're watching. We can see those comments down in the stream down below.
What's the purple one with the little...
That's Twitch.
Twitch.
That's Twitch. We got lots of folks on Twitch.
Force Jackson.
That's
hello.
Yeah, Smash Force Jackson. That's that used to be straight out of NPR. It's Smash Jackson. Smash for Jackson. Smash Force Jackson.
Cool.
Give us the phonetics on that.
Yeah.
But welcome everybody Twitch as well. We're also going over D-Live. Welcome Steamian Stoners.
Nice.
Over on the Steamian community, the blockchain community. Going over D-Live. Jump in there. I'm monitoring that chat on the side. If you got something to say, there's a nice chat window in there. Give us a follow and an upvote, if you will, over there on Steam. Steam it. And also on Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network, broadcasting live on their homepage. We were their flagship show, their original OG show. I wouldn't say flagship, but OG show for live broadcasting. And now a bunch of folks are doing it over there on Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. So check them out. Thanks for the t-shirts, guys, by the way. We should wear them at some point. But I'm into my I've started a trend with my...
Black isn't great on camera.
That's true. It sucks all. It's good,
really
good for us actually. But as you see with Oscar, it's a little tough. But they're very high quality, soft t-shirts.
Yeah, they're soft and nice.
Yes, but thank you very much. Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. So I think that covers everybody that we're going out over. So welcome everybody to the show. Thanks for joining in. We do this, as we say, every Sunday. So let's get into it. Yes, the POT-POCOLYPSE. Didn't look like it happened out here.
No.
Most of the dispensaries that had any ability to plan, and were actually looking to be a force in this industry in California, had planned for this well in advance. The real problem we see maybe is in the actual bottleneck of the testing, because there's I found the number in one of these news stories. There's 31 labs in California right now that are licensed to do the testing required by the state of California. So if that is going to cause a bottleneck, right now we're seeing a little tightening of the market on the legal recreational side, and of course we're seeing a growth in the local market, unregulated or less regulated side. The collectives, of course, are still in operation. They've got another 6 months till their deadline comes up. Or whatever that is, within a year of the first issuance of the licenses here in California. But the man has sent out over 1,000 letters. They sent out 1,000 letters in April to shops that are illegal, not licensed. They've been rolling them up around the city. Compton, big bust in the news out there. So they've been rolling up the shops that aren't complying. They aren't part of the tax and regulate scheme. The ones that are paying their dues and paying all of the money, they're not happy about it. So it's, they're being pit against each other in this environment, which is not good. So we shall see. It looks like, are the tourists going to have a little trouble finding some weed to smoke? Probably not in MedMen or any of the larger dispensaries. Maybe the choice, the varieties may be fewer, but I bet you're going to be able to get your pack of Lowell Smokes, and your Flocana and your, all of these big companies, Gold Flora, all these big companies that have been preparing for this in the corporate cannabis takeover, or found another small batch California company, Emerald something. I'll find the video. We'll play it. But another Hui, basically, of small batch collectives,
cool.
Which is also Flocana. And Flocana just closed a big deal with raising $21 million.
Cool.
To expand here in California. They closed their raise at $22 million. So look for good things with Flocana here in California. So those that were in the know knew this was coming, and those were too high and sitting on the couch just trying to sell their weed and not deal with the regulation and weren't maybe paying attention. Maybe they have a little bit of a problem and had to dispose of stuff. Now, of course, the irony is that the state of California has no way to track or know whether the dispensaries, because they're not riding around in vans collecting everybody's weed in bags and taking it to one big bonfire and turning it into a Burning Man, literally, in somewhere in San Bernardino. But they, it's up to the dispensaries to dispose of it. They can't sell anything that's not labeled property after July 1st properly. And some of these places are videotaping just in case. But the BCC has no way of knowing what has been destroyed. It's the honor system essentially, and they're basically sending out letters to these companies saying, make sure you document it, in case we're going to, just so we can, if we need it later, you have proof that you destroyed everything. So I'm betting a lot of it was either sold in advance, a lot of it was sold at fire sale prices in the days leading up in the last week. So the POT-POCOLYPSE, I think, maybe some of the companies lost some money, but the ones that prepped for it are fine. The ones that didn't are going to continue to drop off the map, along with the big roll-up with local officials, county sheriffs going in with the help of other agencies. What is this bulk? What was that bulk money division? Of the bulk cash division of I don't know what department that's in. Was it DEA or I don't know what it is, but they did something. It's in the news roll up this week.
I think it has to do with Mnuchin.
I don't know, man. Bulk cash. And it wasn't like that much either. They rolled up, but we'll see. Yeah. So, what else was big in the news today? Oh yeah,
Oklahoma.
Well, let's play that. Just because we love it.
Get into it.
Of course, last week, SQ 788 passed with huge numbers.
Huge.
He'll
enjoy Oklahoma's wide open spaces.
With its weed open spaces.
Run and run and run.
So Oklahoma surprised none of the prohibitionists. Or anybody that actually knows anything.
Yeah.
With
those paying attention.
1 week later, comes up with a petition for 2 new cannabis questions.
Boom.
And one of which is adult recreational. The other one is making medical cannabis a medicinal herb. Making cannabis a medicinal herb in the Constitution of Oklahoma.
So like tomatoes.
Like tomatoes. Well,
medicinal
maybe
herb.
more like chamomile.
St. John's wort.
Yeah, St. John's wort, maybe. Yeah, maybe St. John's wort. But, so that's state question 767 and 766, the petitions that are starting now, both of which in a week have, less than a week, have half the number of, basically half the number they need to get over the top to get it on the November ballot. So they were right. Langford was right. Damn you, Langford, you're smart.
He's going to be so upset.
And he's not on board the medical. And 788 loving it. Yep, it's great. They're trying to make it a constitutional. The governor was like, no, we're not going to do a special session. We're just going to leave it in the health department's hands. But the health department's like, we're going to meet on Tuesday, the 10th, and start figuring this out and start issuing licenses. So they're semi-prepared. So that's good news. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those because there's not a whole lot of national stories this week. I don't know if it was because I was working. I worked like 80 hours this week. But I was looking at news stories all week long. I'm taking your advice, Jella. The weekly Cannabis Chronicle is going to be the answer as opposed to daily.
Oh, nice.
So if you go to dc420la.com, that will be the Cannabis Chronicle. I update that as often as I can with news, and then send out a newsletter on Saturday with all the week's news that doesn't fit into the show, is not part of the milieu, if you will, of the mainstream media in the local markets of television and other sources. Although we do discuss news, I leave that really to the news analysis of the Daily Dope. And, of course, Tom Angel over at Marijuana Moment, they do fine analysis of all the news and write for the news. Of course, Tom writes for Forbes. And that really is in the big news. The big news this week which is leading a lot of people to believe that we are not that far off from descheduling of cannabis. We are a lot closer than it seems. At least that's what the folks over at Motley Fool, the investors, seem to think, that the fact that the FDA has essentially told the prohibitionists, nah, we're not going to call marijuana a dangerous, drug. Where, they wanted to basically say that they wanted generally recognized, or rather the FDA, let me read this story. So let me read these first couple of paragraphs from Tom Angel. I'm trying to bring it up on the thing here, but let me see if I can just bring it up. Here it is. That way everybody can read along with me. This, of course, from Tom Angel over at writing at Forbes, but he, of course, has the marijuana moment. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has denied a request from an anti-legalization group to place marijuana and its derivatives on a list of restricted substances that are not generally recognized as safe and effective. The move is, quote, not necessary for the protection of public health.
Isn't it already on that list?
I guess.
Schedule 1 of drugs.
Well, yeah, really, it's on the Schedule 1. That pretty much fits into that. But this is okay, so let's read a little bit more. It's a little confusing, but Janet Woodcock, the director of FDA, sorry, Alexa, the director of FDA's...
That's her name.
I know, it's her. The director of FDA's Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, lovely group, wrote on Monday in a letter to the group, Drug Watch International. The organization had filed its petition requesting the cannabis crackdown in December, writing the move would send an industry-wide warning to the estimated 33,000 marijuana businesses in the U.S., many of which are making unsupported medical claims for marijuana and THC drug products sold as medical marijuana. What's really funny is they sell medical marijuana, they sell cannabidiol as medical marijuana, calling that medical marijuana. That's what's really funny. Not that, THC is being touted for its prop. That truly is medical marijuana, in the grand scheme of things. So, continuing reading this, the prohibitionist organization pleaded with the FDA to take action that would reduce or end the ability of over-the-counter sellers of these drugs to assert and advertise unsupported medical claims for their products. Quote, it would immediately make such claims unlawful and subject the sponsors to regulatory action. Basically, the FDA said, while it appreciates the safety and public health concerns that motivate the request, the agency, quote, already has adequate authority to remove unapproved new over-the-counter drugs containing marijuana or THC from the market. So they said, F-O, we got it, no problem. We don't need to change anything. Everything is fine, just the way it is. Meanwhile, they just approved cannabidiol, and they're not going to push any further to add THC, give it more classification as a health risk. So your thoughts, Coach Cello, on the FDA and the thoughts that this really sort of signals being closer to decriminalization nationwide.
Any step toward that is a good step. Like we talk about off camera, the orange turd could change it with a stroke of a pen. And still could.
The orange turd?
Just to stick it to Sessions. Could totally do that. I think it's interesting that it is moving towards normalization all over, by everywhere, in every layer of our society. The politicians, the bureaucracy, the elected leaders, the people, and of course the potheads. But I think that it's obviously, I'm not an incrementalist, but I have to take what I can get.
Well, I think it's moving. I think it's incrementally moving faster than we expected. More so than anybody did with Oklahoma's big shift so quickly, with the Texas GOP, the sort of red-green wave. What color does that make?
Brown.
Brown. But the green wave going through the South, And, you know, I think Motley Fool is just sort of, you know, this is like the last straw maybe they're looking at as in the quiver or in the quilt of saying we're about to go to because look at what happened with, you know, nothing, you know, we saw Schumer with the Marijuana Freedom and Opportunity Act is the actual name of the act, not the Marijuana Opportunity and
Money.
Yeah, well, enjoy
everyone now.
Enjoy yourself. Yes, I like that better. Marijuana Opportunity.
Now enjoy
yourself. Yeah, the Money Act, but it's the Marijuana Freedom and Opportunity Act, and now along with the Hemp Act, the Hemp Act being integrated in the Farm Bill, waiting for final compromise, I guess. It's sort of slowed down a little bit. We'll see what happens this week coming up. I'll probably see movement on the Farm Bill this week, I would think. To sort of get away from other news, if it will, if there's any chance of that. But meanwhile, Mitch and Chucky are separately being photographed in front of the devil's weeds cousin because because now it's cool to be seen with industrial hemp, and of course the big question there is in the industry, in the cannabis space, is this just big tobacco making a play, you know, in Kentucky for what's going on with industrial hemp? Are they seeing what's going on? We know alcohol is making the play. We know big tobacco has interest in, you know, recreational cannabis, but I'm sure. But hell, let's do it. Let's get industrial hemp in there. Let's get the Farm Bill through. Hopefully in this compromise in this committee, which I think it's where it is still. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that's got the recent update on the Farm Bill. I think it's still in conference. And then, I guess that goes to final vote in the Senate and then signed by the Orange Julius Caesar. And he has, of course, signaled that he's on board with some form of cannabis. You know, hemp's a winner. Hemp's a big winner in states that he won. So Mitch is on board. Chuck Schumer's on board. He can point to bipartisan support of that. MD Niles, remember Bill Clinton said he wished he legalized cannabis when he was in office. Yeah, Obama could have done it too. Guess what? He could have done it too. He totally done it. He released a lot of folks, but he could have released everybody.
Yeah.
That was convicted of just a low-level marijuana crime.
That might have
and taken it off of Schedule 1.
That's the thing.
With an executive order.
Releasing everybody might have caused an economic issue.
But hey, you know what?
Certainly could have taken it off the Schedule 1.
Orange Julius Caesar might reversed it if he did. So
right.
Let's take the
all happens for a reason.
The orangeade and make a green drink with it. Add some raw cannabis and juice that up, so you get your THCA and CBDA.
So Vegan Metro put a good question to us.
Yes.
In an article this week said that immigration will be the big issue in the 2018 elections. The question is, do we think it will be immigration or cannabis? And I wrote back, though the horrors of our putrid and festering immigration detention system is coming to light finally, cannabis is the sexy new issue for people to be for. People want to be for stuff. People don't like to be negative. They like to be negative, but to bring them to the polls, I think that people want to be for things. But, you know, the anger of the immigration issue, you know, could bring other people to the polls. I think that the turnout in the midterms is going to be bigger than normal, for sure.
Well, this is in High Times this week over at the at DC 420 LA, the Cannabis Chronicle, DC420LA.com. This story in High Times magazine: woman deported from the United States for 20-year-old marijuana conviction.
Wow. And was it last week that we talked about how Canada, if you're a Canadian, you might not be allowed into the country?
That's right.
Yeah. I wonder what that puts dual citizens.
If you ask, once you're out, you can't get back in.
Oh, shit. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It's like one of those fly traps.
Wow.
Like it's a stoner trap. we got him in cannabis. He ain't coming. We got him in cannabis. We got him in Canada. He ain't coming back in.
Can't come back in. Oh, shit. All right, mail the
oh,
dogs.
Well. Oh, well.
We've done that before. You got to send the dogs back. You got to pack it up.
Angie Byers in the house.
Yeah, Angie.
Hey, baby. How are ya? We love Angie. She's been such a great help with Mom. And she was here on our 420 show. We did our first dabs together.
Oh, MDN Niles thinks the Farm Bill passed Friday.
It passed in the Senate.
Right.
I think it went. I thought. Let's double check. We'll call it up on Congress.gov and we'll see where it's at. While we'll start watching the videos. We'll double check that. You might be right. It might have gone all the way through. Maybe it passed in the whole, and then it goes. I haven't heard it has gone to the desk. If you know what I mean. I haven't heard it went for this.
The giant signature.
It's maybe the giant signature. Bob Hammond, dual citizens, most of Congress. Yeah, probably. Oh, and looks like Justin's got himself his own Me Too problem. But at least he's taking it like a honorable guy, I guess.
He's apologizing and saying, I didn't mean to?
Yeah, he's like, I was a kid. I was before I was in politics. And the girl, I think the girl is like, yeah, it's we let it go. Wow. So, Angie, thanks, Angie. Thanks for joining in on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. So there you go. That was actually the first story that sort of popped up where marijuana is crossed over with this immigration issue. But 20-year-old crime, that maybe not would have been a problem if maybe that was expunged back under Obama. But we're where we're at because of a long stream of events over the last 30 years. So we need to take what we got, and now look at what's happening. Record numbers of women running, victims of Donald Trump are running for office. And Harvey Weinstein is going to go to jail for life, with one of the,
we'll see,
the most, the highest crime, sex crime in New York State he's been charged with.
I know, but we'll see.
So, and cannabis is going to get descheduled within 2 years.
That I agree. I agree 100%. I don't know about Harvey Weinstein, but I do think that cannabis is going to be descheduled.
Cannabis is going to get descheduled within 2 years, or at least rescheduled. Industrial hemp will be growing across this country.
Maybe even in Maui.
Maui.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Replacing all that GMO garbage and all that cane. Can you imagine growing industrial hemp?
Now they have sunflowers.
With all that cane in Maui.
It would clean the soil from all the damage.
Ask Mitch McConnell. He went and saw those machines, man, replace all that sugarcane machinery with hemp machines. You got the sugarcane places right there. Anyway, I think I've been calling for industrial hemp in Hawaii for a long time. But it can happen. It's going to happen now. It's going to happen all over the country. And Oklahoma's going to vote on recreational in November, along with Michigan, along with looks like Utah got stifled.
I don't think we've played a single news story yet, have we?
Nope.
Well, we should get into it.
We've been going through the main stories. We've been talking about the main stories. We've gotten through all the main stories we wanted to talk about before we get into our news roll-up. We don't have any national video this week, which is strange. I don't know if...
well, I think the national story was Oklahoma. Everybody talked about it.
But not on the main channels, not on Fox. I always see like this. I always see something coming through on Fox. I'll be either on the business channel or, but there was a few, but it's low. It's been low this week, in Sinclair and World, with news stories.
So Sinclair country.
I'm wondering if maybe it's a YouTube throttling of the topic, or if it's these stations are putting out less information about stuff that's going on to slow down the roll here. I don't know. But we'll keep a track on that. Or maybe it's just I was working a lot this week. That could be it too. But let's get into it. You're right, Chell. Let's start in the South, because that's where the big news in Oklahoma is. So let's get into our Southern block with...
I really love that, don't you?
I love this. This is one of the greatest movies ever made.
He'll enjoy Oklahoma's wide open spaces. He loves to run and run and run.
One of the biggest local opponents of State Question 788 says he now accepts medical marijuana as the law of the land. Canadian County Sheriff Chris West says he's not changing his tune, but instead acknowledging the vote of the people. News 9's Kaylee Bourgeois has the story from the Capitol for us. Kaylee?
Kelly, West actively spoke out against 788 during the
blue-green,
campaign
Kelly.
season, but he says now that the people have spoken, it's law enforcement's turn to listen. Since State Question 788 passed last week, Canadian County Sheriff Chris West has been sharing his opinion all over Facebook.
I support the will of the people.
The sheriff's post urges the end of the debate and acceptance that medical marijuana is now legal in Oklahoma.
As far as I'm concerned, it will be law now. Medical marijuana will be the law of the land in Oklahoma.
But just a week ago, West was one of the biggest opponents of 788.
Campaigned against it, and I mean vigorously. And I used every platform that I could.
West says he was concerned 788 was written too broadly. He's also afraid of the side effects, not necessarily from the drug, but from the law itself.
But I think that what it'll do is it'll increase the illegal activity for black market drugs, potential overproduction.
So West will wait and see how this new law affects his job as a law enforcement officer. But he wants to be clear. The Canadian County Sheriff's Office won't go after legal operations.
It'll be a legitimate business just like any other business that's set up in Oklahoma.
West encourages other community leaders to speak up. He says this is the law, a law that needs support.
Quite possibly, it's going to make our job a little bit tougher, but that's what the people decided, and so we'll deal with it.
The sheriff says this isn't a change of heart. It's him doing his job, enforcing the law, even if it's not the law he wanted. And right now, the health department is working out some of the details of how this will all work in practice. And their next meeting is scheduled for July 10th. On the scene, on the story at the Capitol, Kaylee Bourgeois, News 9.
Thank you, Laureen. New at 6, there is a new fight about medical marijuana days after Oklahoma voters approved it.
A group supporting medicinal use is pushing for Governor Fallin to call a special session to set the framework.
2 Works For You reporter Chris DeMaria explains why the group says the current rules on medical marijuana are far too loose. Chris?
Karen and Brian, the group's called New Health Solutions Oklahoma. Its announcement today follows Governor Fallin's decision on Friday to not call a special session. But the group says the session is necessary for the state.
What this is mainly about is clarity, ladies and gentlemen.
Clarity and regulations.
Clarity right now.
Bud Scott led New Health Solutions Oklahoma into the state's capital to call on Governor Fallin.
Clarity for patients, clarity for physicians, clarity for our cities and counties. We ask for clarity, and the citizens of Oklahoma should be demanding it through a special legislative session.
Last Friday, Governor Fallin announced the rules around the medical marijuana industry would be designed by Oklahoma's Department of Health. The governor tweeted the State Department of Health would develop rules to ensure the health and safety of Oklahomans and be fair for the marijuana industry. But some still say a special session is necessary if the program is going to be a success.
We are setting up the State Department of Health for program failure.
New Health Solutions Oklahoma recommends solutions like tracking systems that'll keep an eye on the medical marijuana from the plant to the patient. Bud Scott also mentioned databases that can help with registering patients, getting payments, and recommending physicians.
When we've had a history, especially recent history, of so many failures and so many controversial issues, let's take this opportunity to lead the country.
Now, a special session can be pricey. The special session called last September, cost taxpayers $30,000 a day. Now, if you have questions about the application process, you can find a link on our website to the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. Chris DeMaria, 2 Works For You.
A petition seeking to put legalizing recreational marijuana on the November ballot is circling around the state. Organizers already collecting about half of the signature goal, but not everyone is on board, especially local law enforcement. 2 Works For You reporter Lorraine Callender has more from both sides of the proposition.
Green the Vote is getting the ball rolling on 2 petitions, one for adult recreational use of marijuana and the other medicinal. But law enforcement officials fear these will stir up confusion before legislators even have time to dissect 788. Oklahoma Green the Vote recently created 2 petitions to put on the ballot this November. 797, which allows anyone 21 and over to use, grow, and sell recreational marijuana. And 796, where marijuana is classified as an herbal drug to use for medicinal purposes.
Medical marijuana is about saving the people of Oklahoma, not about saving the economy. 797 which is a constitutional amendment for adult use, will help save the economy.
797 has nearly 65,000 signatures, where 796 has 59,000. Organizers say the numbers continue to grow.
A year ago, I felt like it was dangerous to mention the word cannabis. Now I get to go on the news and talk about it. So the mindset in this state has changed.
Well, not everyone has changed their mind. District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler said in a statement to Two Works for You, Oklahoma voters have expressed their position on Proposition 788. My job as the district attorney is to enforce the laws as they are written. Given the recent passage of 788, it seems to me that the legislator should be afforded a chance to properly assess and evaluate its impact before additional measures are considered. Rogers County Sheriff Scott Walton, who has expressed his opposition to legalizing marijuana, also told Two Works for You, we're going to see problems with the use of marijuana, problems with traffic, problems with education, problems in ways that we probably don't know yet. Green the Vote has until August 1st to collect the signatures. They need 125,000 signatures per petition to have them on the November ballot. Maureen Callender, Two Works for You.
No, I'm not good with math. 60, 120. They're more than halfway
They're
there.
more than
They're
halfway
about halfway there.
They're more than halfway there. But we got one more Oklahoma story because this has a of course we like the cannabis cure angle. We like when they do these local channels highlight someone who is finding relief from the miracle marijuana.
Good evening. We're glad you're with us. The Oklahoma Health Department will meet Tuesday to take the next step in establishing guidelines for medical marijuana. Well, one Oklahoma City family says they're anxious to see how this will work for them. News 9's Kaylee Bourgeois is live with their perspective on 788. Kaylee.
Lisa, the family we talked to says they're waiting for updates every single day from the health department on a drug they hope could change the life of their very sick daughter. This is an hourly routine for the McLaughlins. Lucy's parents feed her and inject her with one of these several intense drugs just to get her through the day.
All of those have terrible side effects in and of themselves.
Lucy has NKH.
It's non-ketotic hyperglycemia.
The same disease that took her older sister's life.
She's on an infant type level and she's almost 7.
Lucy's regimen consists of strong chemicals like morphine and seizure medications, but her parents are hoping to add another prescription that could help eliminate the others.
Medical marijuana.
Thanks to the passage of State Question 788, that's now possible.
We're just so proud of Oklahoma for voting outside of its comfort zone and voting for families like ours.
Lucy's mom, Ryan, knows she doesn't fit the stereotype of a marijuana advocate, but if she can take even one of these bottles out of the mix, she says it's worth the risk.
We have several friends, lots of friends that are medical refugees that have moved out of state because they need that THC component.
Now each day is a countdown for the McLaughlins to a new possibility for their family.
Also be talking to our doctors too and making sure that they understand that this is something that we want, that we need, and advocate on that front too.
Now, the McLaughlins say they get it. They understand that some people are worried about individuals who will abuse access to medical marijuana, but they have another child who has seizures in addition to the one we showed you, and they run a nonprofit for Oklahoma children with rare diseases. So from their point of view, it's all worth the risks. On the scene, on the story outside the State Health Department, Kaylee Bourgeois, News 9.
Kaylee Bourgeois.
Please pass me the lighter. The people are telling me I need more cannabis.
Sorry. Tulsa World, recreational marijuana in Oklahoma.
It is amazing that
21 and over.
Chris Crowley was remarking that it is amazing that this deep red state passed this law. It's true. It's truly amazing.
Here's what I love about what...
You know Brand's in the house, right, babe? Daily Dope?
Who's that? Brand. Oh, hey, Daily Dope. Awesome.
Oh, and Alexis. Hey, lady.
Oh, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Get else. What? Abuse marijuana? Exactly.
So this is in the Tulsa World, recreational Oklahoma, an explainer of State Question 797, which is the recreational part of it. This is interesting. DUI and DWI, which we, of course, know that that actually decreases. The only traffic problem you're going to have are people lining up at the one dispensary you're going to open up in Tulsa. That's the traffic problem you're going to have. Other than that, you're not going to have any traffic problems, as we have seen this week in the study that the RAND Corporation did, saying that DUIs in these states with these areas with dispensaries are not drug only, marijuana related, are down. So it's always has to do with alcohol. But this is interesting.
Always booze, man.
In the question, if bodily fluids test positive for THC, those results would be inadmissible evidence in DUI, DWI charges. Neither would the, quote, odor of marijuana be sufficient evidence. Only a failed sobriety test captured on video may be used as evidence of impairment.
Oh, yes, please.
That is pretty cool.
That makes sense.
Idea.
I love that idea.
If bodily fluids test positive for THC, those results would be inadmissible evidence in DUI, DWI charges. So good on ya, Oklahoma. Another good question. Best little medical marijuana law in the country. Looking like it might end up being the best little recreational law in the country as well.
I love it.
In deep state Oklahoma. And then you're going to be growing that hemp. It's going to be awesome. Cannabis oil instead of dinosaur oil.
Yeah.
Go for it. Fanning in Periscope. Hello, Fanning in Periscope. I want to shout out to Periscope because they feel missed. Fish balls. There he is. Fish balls in Periscope. It sounds like a movie. Fish balls in Periscope. What's up, Dr. Fish? Welcome to the show. Angie, yay, Oklahoma, and said, Fanning, thank you for inviting folks on Periscope. Go ahead, folks. Hit that button, hit that subscribe, share, hit that bell. Let people know about the show. We're trying to build our audience. It is growing. New people every week, but we'd sure love you to share the content because we love doing this. So
Dave
Oklahoma,
is totally trying to build the show.
Dave is totally trying to build the show.
Facebook is definitely trying to not help us build the show.
And Facebook is effing with us. But you know who's doing great with this whole cannabis thing?
He'll enjoy Oklahoma's wide open spaces.
Weed open spaces.
He loves to run and run and run.
So good on you, Oklahoma. Let's see what else is going down south. Because, it's happening. It's happening all across the South. Even in Virginia. Something's happening, but, they're a little scared about that, too. So let's see what's going on.
Everybody's scared.
Everybody's scared. I don't know what they're scared of, but they want to
madness,
know.
Babe.
Reefer madness. They want to know what cannabis oil means for Virginia. Dun, dun, dun. 13 News Now.
Been called a last resort for those suffering through chronic illnesses or diseases, and now cannabis oil is being used to treat patients in Virginia.
It officially became law this week. Now, the Virginia Beach lawmaker making it happen is talking to 13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee. Jacqueline, this move doesn't really legalize marijuana, correct?
That's right, Erin. And Delegate Glenn Davis wanted to dispel any misconceptions about this new law. Marijuana is illegal. Even possessing cannabis oil is still illegal. The law simply provides an exception if you have a medical condition.
She makes it seem like
there's a new law in Virginia expected to help thousands deal with pain, like Donna Daniels.
I was just in so much agony. I basically just laid in bed 24 hours.
Daniels had 19 surgeries in 24 months for health issues like a brain tumor, rectal cancer, and leg reconstruction surgery. She's waited several years for medical cannabis oil to be allowed in Virginia.
When it was passed, I was doing my happy dance for sure.
To clarify, the new law doesn't legalize cannabis oil possession.
Just to be clear.
It simply provides an affirmative defense for someone with a medical condition.
One thing people may not understand is this is a highly regulated situation in Virginia.
Delegate Glenn Davis helped push the law through. He specified that while ordinarily possession would be illegal, the law allows someone with a doctor's recommendation for the oil to not get in trouble.
This is not something that you can just go out there and get easily. It is going to require anyone who touches it, dispenses it, takes it, or prescribes it to be registered.
In his presentation to Virginia Beach City Council today, Davis explains the next steps. 5 facilities will open across the state, including one in Hampton Roads.
That facility will be authorized to grow the plant, extract the oil, and provide the oil,
making it more convenient for people like Daniels, who say they're just trying to relieve the pain.
Just the convenience of it is going to be wonderful.
Delegate Davis added that cannabis oil essentially removes all properties that give you any high, otherwise found in recreational marijuana. The state received 49 applications for the 5 facilities that will open up. Once those facilities are selected in September, they will have a year to open. Live in studio, Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
Yeah, I agree with Alexis. No lists.
No lists, people.
No lists.
That's what Vermont's doing. Vermont's got no lists, man. Bro, I don't know what they're. They're concentrates. I don't know about their concentrates.
No lists.
What do they do with that? But yeah, that's just crazy, and it's for what a waste. God, what a waste. What do they? I mean, I guess they grow high CBD plants and then extract it. Right? Is that what like our like collectives do? The good collectives that know how to. They're talking. I know. Smash First Jackson. Oh my God, they're talking about CBD. I know they're talking. That's what we.
They're talking about CBD.
Blows our freaking mind every week.
Yeah.
Every week, these
they don't understand
these states, these prohibitionist states. And these people who have never used marijuana in their lives.
Clearly. Or studied it. Or went to the...
Even did a Google
wonder what
search.
the wiki page says. Maybe we should all contribute.
Yes, going to the crazy wiki page.
To the wiki page and fix it.
Or whatever. Something. But
God.
They're just clueless. It's a medical marijuana. It's
so many folks in the
chat.
chat.
The conflation is just really nuts.
Yeah.
It's really nuts. And it's part of making people scared. It's trying to... Where are all the crazy brown people that are attacking all the white women?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Exactly.
It's nuts. It's nuts, but we're breaking through. We're breaking through in small increments. Oklahoma, the people of Oklahoma, that sheriff's like, yep, the people have spoken.
People have spoken. The people employ him.
That's right. The people employ him. And I bet he's up for re-election.
He wants his job.
I bet you.
In November.
In Oklahoma? Yeah, Alexis calls him out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you do.
So does Daily Doe.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of reefer revolutionaries in here. That's a faux show. So there you go. It's nuts. Keep calling them out. Keep educating people about the difference. The need for full plant.
Yeah.
Whole plant cures, man. Whole plant medicine. This is a big pharma scam.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Okay. There's a medical cannabis doctor right now that's trying to get concentrates banned and made illegal. Whereas, the laws that are coming through are embracing them and trying to find some way to regulate them. But, you're getting into this area where stuff's being extracted, broken down, just like Big Pharma likes. And, that's how they're going to sort of isolate and get a hold of it. So you're finding these restrictions on growing. The laws are restricting growing. The laws are making lists. The laws are restricting just to the oil from only these sources.
Yeah.
So it's, we gotta call them out, keep calling them out like you good folks are doing. And,
free the plant.
Free the plant, free the people. That's right. It's tomato, just like tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Okay, let's move on. We got one more story in our southern block, and that's, of course, a good news story. We all know that Florida is going to be legal all around sooner rather than later.
Here, hon, it's right here.
We're juggling one lighter.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know either.
During this story, I'll go look for another lighter.
Absolutely.
Go on.
Smash Jackson. That's what they've done in Florida. They've made it exactly like Big Pharma wants. That's right.
Yeah.
Here's something else they're doing in Florida.
A nice thing.
A nice thing that we see in some of the other states that see the writing on the wall. Universities are looking to teach about it. So let's see what this story says.
Station that's in your corner. News with Patrick Nolan, Amy Wegman, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
Florida Gulf Coast University is offering a marijuana class this fall, but it's not the kind of higher education you may be thinking of. 4 in Your Corner's Adam Pinsker telling us how the class is preparing students for when the drug becomes mainstream. Adam?
Well, Sam, Florida Gulf Coast is the first university in Florida to offer this class, but professors say it is not about getting high. It is about educating students on one of the oldest drugs in the world. When FGCU announced it was offering a course on marijuana for the fall semester, the class filled up within 24 hours.
So we look at the history, the health, the economics, the legal aspect, and also the cultural aspect.
Professors Martha Rosenthal and Sam Walsh are teaching the course. Walsh says it's important for the next generation of students to be educated on this drug, which he believes will be completely legalized in Florida within the next 5 years.
Well, I think there's a definite split between generations, that you get to a certain generation where this was demonized, and that'll be the people that are starting now to be very, very elderly.
Walsh says research into the medicinal benefits of marijuana started last century in the United States until Congress cracked down on the drug.
When they declared that marijuana would be put on the Controlled Substances Act as a Schedule I drug, that pretty much prohibited it from any kind of research, any kind of consideration.
Even students not taking the class are open to the idea of learning about marijuana. Junior Karina Magnago Doval doesn't think marijuana should be lumped into the same category as other drugs.
I think anything can be abused if you take it to that heart. It just depends who the person is and what you're abusing. I feel like it's easier to stigmatize marijuana because it is considered a drug, but I think it just depends on how you use it, how often you use it.
Walsh also hopes the class can spark students' interest in careers within the cannabis industry.
One woman said, "Oh, I'm so glad my son is going to FGCU. He's going to be going into restaurant and hospitality, but he really wants to be a chef for edible marijuana."
Professor Walsh says he is offering this class once a year, hopefully during the fall semester next year as well. Reporting from Florida Gulf Coast University, Adam Pinsker, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right.
Fox 4 in your corner. Thanks, Fox 4. So there you go. Higher education.
Just once a year?
Once a year.
Only once a year in the fall? And it filled up within 24 hours?
24 hours.
What, are they stupid?
They better add another class.
Dumb.
They better expand that a little bit. But that's cool. That's cool. 5 years prediction. Yeah, 5-year prediction that it's going to be fully legal in tax and regulated legal in Florida. And it's I've seen numbers that Florida's probably going to end up going to be one of the largest markets overall. And medical cannabis really is going to probably be, if the big pharma doesn't destroy it, the small medical cannabis, the real medical cannabis industry, it should be very successful.
Yeah.
That's a big.
Yeah.
Smash
It's
Action.
super
FGCU
exciting.
is about 90 miles south of where you live. I don't know if that's close enough to go.
It's pretty exciting.
Alexis, Daily Dope So says that Alexis kicked out a nice hemp crop. Great drone footage. Ooh, keep up the awesome work. I'm in and out of the chat, but I'm listening. Oh, we should try to find some of that footage. You got good. I know Alexis got good rains, and Cello's monitoring Jack so he doesn't mark his territory. He's been very good. He's been very good today. He's had a very good 2 days. We're working with him, and he's such a sweet boy. There was something else somebody said in here that I wanted to find. And quote. Oh yes, a dingo ate my baby. The people who have a problem with getting high as part of this, or getting high part, the getting high part, are the same ones who do not want you to be able to have fun having sex without the baby as a consequence.
Yes.
It's
they
true.
Are those same people.
Yeah. Interesting correlation.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah, it's related.
Those people are terrible. Get out of my life, those people. There are no more lighters in this house.
Oh, is that the problem?
Only lighter.
You were on the quest.
Yeah. After
during that
I
video.
I stood up.
Well, actually, Vincente Fox was in a Civilized interview this week, and he said exactly kind of the same thing. That cannabis should be legal. It's used by everybody. 25% of the cannabis users in Northern California work at Microsoft or something like that. There's some kind of weird statistic. But he said something about.
All of Microsoft.
He says, people should be able to smoke. I have a little tequila before I go into the meeting. It loosens me up. Cannabis has the same properties. And
wait, he has a shot of tequila before going to meetings?
apparently, hey, it's cultural, baby.
We call that alcoholism in America.
Not in Mexico. And we do that we have our own rituals here. So and their new president in Mexico, their new president in Mexico is super left.
Bernie Sanders of Mexico.
And
kill him.
And they he I don't know where I get by the link, but he's covered in marijuana moment. He wants to decriminalize all drugs, and one of his advisors is very much decriminalization. But also the Caribbean, all the Caribbean nations are like, legalize it, man. Like Peter Tosh says, legalize it. They're basically saying this is ridiculous. Thousands of people are being imprisoned, especially the most vulnerable and most maligned in the region. 19 Caribbean heads of state want it decriminalized. They want to review the current status and reclassification. So,
as they should.
As it should be. I think the investors at Motley Fool are correct.
It's true, yes. Vegan Metro Anthony. NYC is the largest market. Many people from there retire in Florida take their cannabis use with them.
That's right.
Isn't it funny that NYC is the largest market, but it's not legal?
They had delivery when we were there in '97.
It's true, and it was super illegal then.
Super. High Maintenance is based on reality. That show, but that's there we go. Let's move out of the South. Let's move into. That was our big news block. Was that the South? Yes, that was this big news block this week. So we're going to move into. It was Oklahoma. And it's going to continue to be Oklahoma. I can't use, they haven't nailed me for copyright on that because it's so short. And I can't use Oklahoma. I'm going to write a cover to that with weed centered. You want to plug? Your mic's been off. Thank you,
Anthony.
Telling me vegan. How long has that been?
Since I went to look
for
the lighter.
To look for the lighter. Forgot to turn your mic back on.
I forgot I was looking for the lighter.
Well,
I can imagine.
It does affect your short-term memory, but it comes back.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world. I'm not driving a car, but I bet you I'd still pass a sobriety test. Well, maybe not. Not right this second with the lighter's mishap and stuff. And the mic off.
I love that. I love that in the law that smell has nothing to do with whether you can.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
That's passed. That's passed.
No, that's
proposed.
That's proposed for the
it's good.
For the thing. Okay, so let's go
out of the South.
We're out of the South. We're gonna go into.
Let's do the Midwest.
So Daily Dopes in the house. Let's do a couple of Midwest stories. The few that there are this week. So let's jump into the Midwest, and we'll start in Michigan, where there's been one poll, and boy, are they excited about it. Because it's not as overwhelming as the pot folks, the pro-pot lobby would like. So it seems like the media is obsessively gleeful with this new poll. But let's see what Local 4 WDIV has to say about this new poll.
All right, Ben, thanks. Months from now, you'll be asked if you support legalizing recreational marijuana in Michigan. Tonight, a new poll suggests it will not be a slam dunk, as many are assuming it will be. Mara McDonald is live with the numbers tonight. And Mara, we're seeing 47 yes to 44 no. Is that right?
We're seeing 47 no to 44 yes, Jace, which is sort of a flip. It's something that we have not seen up to this point, which suggests that this is within the margin of error. But let's take a closer look here. The group advocating a no vote on recreational pot is the one who is blasting out these numbers tonight. In a statewide survey, the result, they say, was no on recreational pot by a hair.
Actually, I would be surprised by that, just because I have enough people that I know that have been hoping that would get onto the ballot, so I'm surprised.
Most of the pot polling I've seen up until this point suggests this is going to pass in the mid-50s percentile. Make no mistake, Michigan voters said yes to medical pot, with the yes vote at 63% in 2008. I've yet to see numbers on recreational pot that are even close to that. Still, ask people if they think it will pass, and they'll tell you yes, even if they themselves would vote no.
They probably will, because they think it's a little more easier.
Political data gurus here in Michigan tell me on recreational pot they see a real difference in attitudes age-wise. Over 65 likely to vote no. 45 to 65 support medical but are conflicted on recreational. And under 45 likely to say yes.
Yeah, it's going to pass.
Why do you think?
Because there's too many people, I think, for it. Whether they're vocal or not about it.
Yeah.
If that guy's under 45,
something to consider as we
Michigan
rocket
tough.
forward towards that August primary as well as the November general election. There is polling, and then
Flint
there
is in Michigan.
polling.
Brandon must be 18.
Most of the polling
that
you
guy's
see
under 45.
is not the expensive, in-depth kind of polling. What am I talking about? Well, polls that have a live person on the other end of that phone when they call you are extremely expensive, as in the tens of thousands of dollars expensive. 95% of the polling that you're going to see between now and November, not that kind of polling. Jason, Kimberly, we're live downtown tonight. Back to you.
All right, Mara, it'll be interesting to see once the interest groups get involved as well. All right, Mara, thanks.
It's going to be interesting to see once the people get involved as well. And actually come out and vote, because guess what, folks? Cannabis wins every time it's on the ballot. I think once it didn't, and it escapes me where. Arizona. It didn't make it in Arizona, but everywhere else, it's on the ballot. It will win. It's gonna move. It's gonna win in Michigan. They're gonna spend a lot of money to do it. I'd say, what do you think, Daily Dope? I think they're gonna spend over $1 million to try to defeat legal cannabis in Michigan. They spent about $500,000 in Oklahoma for medical marijuana to stop it.
Do you think they're going to try harder to stop the next thing in Oklahoma?
They'll be. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. They'll spend at least $500,000 to stop 797. But let's break them. Break them. Make them spend all their money. Stick it to the man. Stick to the man. Let's see what the man, because the man be working. The man is working in Ohio, in Springfield. So let's check out this story.
Brand's saying, yeah, even the older than me people are yes vote.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The older than 45.
Yeah.
Which I think that guy was actually the category in.
Yeah, but I think, but the poll said the opposite. I think their polls are jacked up, just like the poll that didn't understand that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was going to blow him out of the water.
Yeah, those polls switched. Those
polls are dum-dums.
off.
They're not in touch with the reality that is.
And this is really tight. I mean, it's within the margin of error, essentially, is what they were saying. So that's just it's just the first one. So. Yeah. We'll be watching that, as will Daily Dope, I'm sure, on his show. So we'll be looking for some out. Yeah, he says Arizona just failed to get enough signatures for the 2018 recreation.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Silly things.
And Utah just got screwed this week.
Yeah,
getting it on their ballot, their cannabis oil ballot on the ballot. So let's Ohio. Where the devil's 55 pounds of marijuana was stopped from going to kill absolutely no one. And people were arrested for it.
A drug bust this afternoon in Springfield lands 2 people in the Clark County Jail. We're taking a look at what police recovered and how they were tipped off. 2 News reporter Judith Ratana has the details, new at 11.
Dana, the Clark County Sheriff's Office says this drug bust happened at about 2 p.m. this afternoon. They say it was a partnership with Homeland Security's Bulk Cash Task Force. The Clark County Sheriff's Office was led to this house with help from the Homeland Security Bulk Cash Task Force. Using a search warrant, the Sheriff's Office entered the home where they say they found open packages of marijuana. Police say they found 55 pounds of name brand, high quality marijuana with a street value totaling $165,000. There were also 67 individually wrapped caviar joints worth up to $4,300 on the street. On top of that, the sheriff's office says they found $9,500 in cash and a loaded firearm. The operation stemmed from a tip from a shipping company. The sheriff says the bulk cash task force was contacted by the company, saying there were 3 packages on their way to the 1600 block of Summit Street with unknown amounts of marijuana. The packages were taken from the distribution center to Clark County. Clark County and the task force then delivered the packages themselves.
With news stories.
I was an abrupt end to that story, but yeah, that is complete bullshit, Bob Hammond. I agree with you. That is just ridiculous. And that was a local business, the shipping company. But I mean, I guess relatively speaking, if you're going to look at, how often a shipping company turns somebody in, because, this is pretty regular practice in the local markets. So, but I guess, every once in a while, somebody's just going to be on their high horse or not high horse. And,
not so high horse.
Not so high horse.
If they were high, it'd be fine.
I think it'd be much better. Be much better. Because after all, with Ohio getting legal there with medical marijuana, of course, it's the cannabis camel. And if the problem with the cannabis camel is not that it's Joe Camel and the tobacco lobby trying to sell you bad stuff, it's cannabis camel is getting the cannabis nose under the tent with medical and then going recreational, which the prohibitionists, of course, use as their argument to not do it. But then the people go, well, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so I'm not worried about that. We're going to lose that argument. But that's what Cleveland's doing. Cleveland's getting ready for their recreation. It's coming.
It's an exciting time in the world.
Exciting time in the world, and they want to be ready for it. So they want things changed. Here we go.
With news stories you won't see on any other station.
Some people argue it is just a matter of time. Medical marijuana is supposed to be available in just a few months, but Cleveland is getting ready to go a step further.
A group will now explore what has to change if recreational marijuana becomes legal. Here's the E-Team's Kevin Barry.
With medical marijuana available in Ohio in just a few months,
we want to make sure whatever we do is fair.
Cleveland City Councilman Blaine Griffin is trying to bring together law enforcement with city departments to cut through the red tape for when recreational marijuana might be legal.
We believe it's time for us to start having that discussion.
He says there's property zoning that would have to change and other rules the city would want to form, making the new industry beneficial for everyone. Well before marijuana is legal in the state, 12 of Cleveland's 17 council members are on the resolution forming the group.
We need to get out of the dark ages with this.
Ohio's medical marijuana program is supposed to be active in September. Legal experts say it's still too early to tell what kind of impact a recreational use program would have. The lawyer Tom Herron represents medical marijuana businesses getting off the ground right now, and he says there would likely be some kind of impact.
We have seen in other states that typically when an adult use program is implemented, it does affect the medical market and lead to a reduction in sales in the medical market.
Herron says it's because recreational marijuana businesses would also carry some of the same products used for medicinal purposes, but in a recreational shop, there would be fewer hoops to jump through. In Cleveland, I'm Kevin Barry for the E-Team.
Because when you recreate, you medicate.
It's true. But for the longest time, people are made to feel that that's not what they're doing. I'd say that even people in this room were made to feel that way.
All the time.
That, oh, you smoke so much weed. Oh, why do you smoke so much pot? Oh, you should stop smoking pot. Oh, you shouldn't use pot so much. But, why do you use pot? Oh, well, I feel calmer and more in tune with what needs to happen.
More productive.
More productive, focused. So if that's what it does for me, why shouldn't I use it more?
or to chill, to get good sleep, and all with beneficial side effects, none of them which is negative.
Yeah.
The Reefer Madness tweet of the week was pointed out by Tom Angel, and it had a great response that I want to point out. But this tweet was from Representative Vicky Hartzler of, I'll figure out where she's from, but some crazy prohibitionist. People who are addicted to marijuana are 3 times more likely to become addicted to heroin. That number jumps to 40 times when someone is addicted to opioid painkillers. It's essential we fight to be drug-free. Hashtag drug-free Friday. Hashtag drug-free MO. Hashtag copy Wikipedia. On the prohibition of marijuana. And this is a reply from @Blue22 is who I am, Blue. Beware, cannabis overdoses have reached an all-time record high, equaling the number of deaths attributed to people gored by unicorns. That was funny.
That is good.
So, Cleveland says, let's get out of the dark ages. Let's get ready for what we know is coming. And the tipping point is here. We're going to use this to better our community. We're gonna use this to save our economy. Essentially, hemp, industrial hemp, recreational cannabis. Oh, the tax revenues in California are terrible. They're nowhere near projections. Well, that's because you slow roll in cannabis labs, licensing, slow roll in cultivation licensing. They just licensed
and everybody's
cultivations
got their
in the city
guy.
of Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, but everybody's still in local market because the taxes are so high.
They're charging you arm and a leg to get legal. So many freaking recommendations. Landlords are freaking out. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Just get rid of it. You know, to set up a tax structure with localities, one tax for the state, exempt medical for collectives, and that's it. But
yeah,
you know, that's not what they're doing.
No.
So,
but maybe they'll get there. Like Oakland is already trying to change the amount of tax that they're charging.
They are temporary.
So let's hope that we can advocate and keep pushing our representatives to represent.
To actually represent. Yes.
Speaking of.
Yes.
Can you pop into the normal thing since we're talking about our representatives?
Allow me. And what normal thing would that be?
So, Normal has a great take action section, and probably a lot of the people in the chat know about it already. But for those
we don't know about it, we actually have plenty neophytes.
Oh, wonderful! I love it.
I
love it. Anyway, so this is a really excellent resource for advocating, and they make it super duper easy. So if you scroll down there and you can show the people, by state, and
I love how they put it. They prioritize stuff,
yeah,
which is great. They're like, hey, this is major.
Right.
This was what was introduced, the Chuck Schumer's bill, Marijuana Freedom and Opportunity Act, and then they allow you to very easily contact your senators. We love postcards, but
postcards count for 100 people.
Right. That's
the thing. When you write a handwritten letter or a postcard. I like postcards because they don't worry that it's anthrax covered. When you write a handwritten postcard, they consider that weighs more than an electronic thing, but electronic things add up.
So what are the couple of things that jumped out at you here? I know the California Assembly Bill, of course the Chuck Schumer bill, the California Assembly Bill 1793. Seeks to allow automatic expungement or reduction of a prior cannabis conviction for an act that is not a crime as of January. That wasn't the one you were.
No, I like both of them. I
that's
both
good.
of them. Yes, they're.
Oh, this is the one. 829 exempt compassionate care programs from paying state cannabis taxes, and when they are provided free medical cannabis to financially disadvantaged people living with serious health conditions.
Yeah, so click on that so you can show the people.
And
Click
here's
on
the
the
update.
link.
It was approved by the Assembly Committee on Revenue and Taxation by a vote of 8-1. And was referred to the Committee on Appropriations. So then this action goes to all the, and it keeps all the updates. That's great.
Yeah, and then you scroll down and you fill it all in, and then you start writing, and you can modify it. You can modify the response, or you can just send it.
Oh, and that goes to
All your people,
all
your
the
legislators.
California people, your legislators.
And because they
whatever
get your address and they send it to all your reps. It's great.
Nice little service.
It's a super duper service. So
They're
for
the
people
best.
who are who wish that they could do more activism, well, here's a super easy way to do it. Don't say we didn't tell you.
That's exactly. Email.
But there's a lovely thread happening in the chat.
Yes.
Alexis, of course, is saying, yeah, the government will never admit that taxes are enough. It's true. Legally made coffee and cannabis tax is always equal. Fixed, done, finished.
Yep.
Right? And that way, yes, it's true. People can overdose on caffeine. I've done it. It's not comfortable.
Totally overdose on caffeine.
You know?
There's documented proof of people dying from overdosing on caffeine.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
There's literally, I mean, there was no video of this story, and there probably will be next week, I'm sure. NBC did a story on the increase of dogs coming into vet emergency rooms from ingesting cannabis since legalization across the country.
Cannabis poisoning.
From cannabis poisoning, exactly. And we have a number of cannabis canines in our life.
Hey, where's Phil?
And yeah, we debate with this with Phil. If now they do have more receptors, cannabinoid receptors.
So you give them less.
So you use less, and I'm sure if they do eat 100 milligrams of a gummy, it's probably going to be.
They'll be out for a while.
It'll be shocking to people, to the owner, and could cause problems that may be worrisome. If it's someone who is maybe that's their cat, if they're using the cannabis and that's their dog, they may not be as.
They will be worried because they just lost all their weed.
Yeah, they ate their damn
other
gummy.
than that.
Now, I just want to say the NBC story that talked about this, the rash of increase in vet emergency rooms of like 10 a week. They see 10 a week of these dogs coming in, ingesting cannabis, and I don't think they can get high eating the flower.
There's Phil.
I don't think they can. I think that's the same as with humans. You don't get high when you eat raw cannabis. I think that's the same with dogs. I may be wrong about that, but I think that an edible, that's a different story. But they're saying, oh, if they eat a half a joint that's left on the sidewalk, first of all, nobody leaves a joint on the sidewalk unless it's fallen out of their pocket. So
yeah,
that's the case. But maybe it's a roach. But if they eat a joint on the sidewalk, I really don't think it's going to get them high.
No, it's not going to get them high.
Yeah. So we're talking.
It won't poison them.
We're really talking edibles. And what you're talking about poisoning is in the story, they're like, yeah, no dogs have died.
No.
Except one. Oh, sorry, there was one. I had one dog that died, the doctor said. 10 a week. We're all over the country. It's increased. He had one, went into a coma, the dog, and vomited and then died on the vomit.
Aspirated
the vomit and died of sepsis.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually the cannabis that killed the dog. And I'm curious as to what they were trying to do with the dog to try to, revive it or do something, because there's weaker things we can do, but most of the time it's counseling over the phone and just says he'll be fine. They'll be fine. Just, keep your eyes. If the condition changes, and I'm sure it all depends on how much, and I don't think there's any recorded instances of dogs dying from ingesting cannabis. I if there is, let us know. But I searched the news pretty good for the last year.
Yeah.
And I've never come across a story.
Yeah.
About a canine, a pet dying.
Phil is in the house.
Phil's in the house.
Yes.
Let us know if it's
yes.
What else is going on with that, if there is anything.
Alexis Bortel has some exciting news coming out. It's a teaser though.
Yes.
Yes. So it's coming out soon, probably this week. The news, big news coming out soon about her latest test results.
Oh.
So thank you so much for letting us know.
Big teaser. We'll report on that next week.
That's great.
Faux show.
Cool.
we'll keep an eye on that. And congratulations
If
on
you ever
your
want
harvest.
to come on the show and talk about stuff, please just let us know.
Absolutely. Oh, you're
We'd
absolutely.
love to have you anytime.
Always.
We'll try not to curse.
Welcome. Always welcome. And I was actually thinking about that today because I know the case is going to be heard, I believe, at the end of the month. Still, it's at the end of July. Is it the end of this? It's soon, right? It's still in the Second Circuit. So I thought when we hear back from that and there's news about that, I thought, oh, it'd be great to have Alexis on the show.
Yeah.
But of course, anytime. And if there's big news, let's you want to break it here on DC 420 LA.
Totally.
We're certainly open to it. So that's very cool.
I have a question for Alexis. Medical test stuff. I do have a question. If you think that Kennedy's retirement is going to impact, no, it should be. It's going to be heard this session, right?
What's that? No, it's in the appeals court.
Oh, it's in the appeals
court.
It's in
the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. It's going all the way. But yeah, I mean that's a question.
I wonder how Kennedy's retirement is going to affect.
He is,
cannabis. Potential cannabis legislation.
forgetting the debate over why he left. I would say that he was the only moderate positions he took, or left positions, if you will, were on civil rights issues like gay marriage and as I believe, he's not really. I mean, everything's been conservative. He's been with the conservatives all the time.
Yeah.
And
he retired under a fascist, so there you go.
He retired under a fascist. Awesome.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
But we'll see. I haven't really looked at that list. We'll see Monday who he chooses.
No, it's horrible. I digress. Let's move on.
At least it's not going to be Judge Perino or whatever her name is from Fox. She's not on the list. Quick little bummer of a story. Of course, if you were following the Church of Cannabis in courts, unfortunately. They lost in Ohio.
New tonight, a Marion County court says the Indianapolis First Church of Cannabis is not exempt from the state's law against marijuana. Now, you might remember the church tried to argue for the right to smoke pot as a so-called religious liberty. Well, the court handed down a final judgment saying no. Attorney General Curtis Hill agrees. In a statement, he says, in part, Indiana's laws against the possession, sale, and use of marijuana protect the health, safety, and well-being of Hoosiers statewide.
So no holy cannabis Hoosiers. No freedom there. No freedom of religion for cannabis. I wonder what the Rastafarians have to say about that. Or there's groups of
aren't they from
Christian
the Caribbean?
Churches, or there's groups. Yeah, exactly. They're from the Caribbean.
Well, 9 countries in the Caribbean want to legalize it, so that makes sense.
Indiana ain't in the Caribbean. Hoosiers, I bet they'll be growing hemp. They're going to be growing hemp right up there next to the corn, which will be much better for the environment, by the way, than that bloody corn, and much more useful, because the corn is literally useless. Useless for human health. It's bad. Most people can't digest it. It makes terrible syrup that's poisoning the country.
Probably
caused everything that we're dying from now. And it feeds animals for consumption, which makes them sick, and then it gets us people that eat it sick. So corn is the devil, and they're worried about cannabis, hemp. Let hemp take over corn, please. So there you go. Midwest, Indiana, no Church of Cannabis. Cleveland's looking forward to recreational, and the BS poll out of Michigan is probably going to change dramatically over the next few months as we watch them ready to vote. So let's move on to just a couple of stories left today, folks. It is going to be a short show. It's 1:45. We made the short show longer. That's awesome. Let's go to let's do a quick East Coast story. Couple of East Coast stories here. What's going on in the chat, Jelly? You're typing away frantically.
We got
Bring us up to date on what's going on.
No, I'm responding to something that's been a few chats a few moments ago.
That's okay. Well, let us know.
Okay. Sorry. So Phil Britton is going on about how Andrew Wheeler replacing Pruitt will kill us all faster than Kennedy's replacement.
Oh, Pruitt. Yeah, Pruitt was Oklahoma. I wonder how he feels about after putting the kibosh on the original medical marijuana bill when he was AG. Go on.
Well, I was responding, now I don't have to type anymore, but I was responding that I sort of believe in near-term human extinction. So I don't really think that Andrew Wheeler is going to change it too much. I mean, it might hasten it a little bit, but I think that we're sort of toast anyway.
Well, hey, you're on
Sorry.
that, Phil. On that,
sort of
Phil.
A bummer.
He's the coal lobbyist, right? Is that the guy we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I think he knows coal is dead. The coal industry knows coal is dead. Everybody, they all know it. They may not admit it publicly, but they all know coal is dead. And, will the deregulation continue? Yeah. Will Flint get clean water? No.
Well, does Flint have clean water now? No. Did it have clean water under Obama?
No.
It's all up to us, guys.
Does Koreatown have clean water?
Does Koreatown have? Does Compton have clean water?
Nope.
Do I? I don't even know.
Probably not.
I need a filter. Anyway,
Vegan Metro. Corn is needed because it is great. It makes great vegan tamale wraps. Then again, so do banana leaves. Yeah,
but
corn could go.
corn needs to be organic and not GMO. And really, don't you think we should have small farms all over the country that serve the local community?
We're gonna end up that way in the final days anyway. It's gonna
be like a zombie apocalypse.
Listen, industrial agriculture will collapse.
The show is taking a very dark turn. Do we have a nice story? I'm sorry, you guys.
There are no nice stories this week. Hey, over on D-Live. What's up, guys? Thank you for watching over on D-Live. Venus Five Trap 133 just gave us an upvote. As well did 7 Luxord. Just voted 100%. Thanks, everybody watching on D-Live. This is DC 420 LA, the Week in Weed. We do this every Sunday. We're talking, maybe not next Sunday.
Till the end of the world.
Maybe not next Sunday. We're going to do something next Sunday. We're going to be on the road again.
Yeah, we're going to be out on the road.
We're going to be on a road trip, and we're going to miss you, Vegan Metro. We will be in Vegas.
Yeah.
We're going to Reno.
No, we're not going to Vegas. We're going to Reno.
No, we're not going to be in Vegas. We're going to be in Reno.
Yeah, we'll be in Reno for a wedding.
So we're gonna probably check out some cannabis, whatever cannabis is available there. Also up in Northern California on the road. We'll be on the road Sunday. We'll check in remotely, not on all the platforms. Maybe we'll check in differently on all the different platforms.
Whatever you want. Can we drive and do it?
Yeah,
okay,
we'll do it.
Great.
That's what we'll do. We'll go on all the different times. We'll check in on different times on different platforms. That'd be fun. Because I won't be able to restream on the road.
Alexis agrees with me. We need farms everywhere.
Farms everywhere, hemp everywhere,
generation.
Cannabis everywhere.
It's up to you, Alexis. It's your generation really, farms everywhere. If all y'all think that too, then maybe we could actually, pull it out. But
farms and freedom cells.
Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to.
Yep. Okay, let's do a couple of quick words. Did I find my East? I was looking for my East Coast.
We're taking a little bit of a survivalist turn today.
As long as there's cannabis, I'll be cool.
Well, yeah.
All right, so we're going to just take a look at a couple of quick stories out of the East Coast. Let's see what this. I don't even remember what this is. Let's see. Oh yeah, Vermont.
Okay, all right, that's much better. It's a day many have been anticipating: legal marijuana in the Green Mountains. Hetty Vermont, a cannabis advocacy organization, held the legalization celebration Sunday on private property in Johnson.
It's not about smoking weed as much as it is celebrating
our
ability to be able to do that, to be able to grow these plants, and maybe more importantly for a lot of the professionals here, to come out with more open conversations, hopefully move away from the stigma.
Patty Humiston agrees with that negative stigma. While she isn't a regular consumer of cannabis, she isn't afraid to say she may start again now that she can grow her own.
You can grow it according to what you're looking for instead of getting it on the street, which you don't really know what you're getting. So I'm willing to try it.
While weed is now legal to possess and grow in Vermont, selling it is not.
If we could have more money for opiate treatment, for highway safety, from texting to drinking and driving, I think that's a net plus for our society.
Lieutenant Governor David Zuckerman has been a longtime legalization supporter and says money from a tax and regulated market could be helpful for Vermont. But some pro-pot people in this crowd are already finding creative ways to sell the product by offering a t-shirt or membership at a higher price that includes a free gift of the green stuff.
Very exciting day,
That's
you know,
the DC
and
model.
still waiting on a recreational market, but this is a great way to stick your toes in the water.
Evan Fuller works at Humble Roots, a farm that grows CBD hemp. CBD has been legal to sell in Vermont and is a close relative to cannabis. It contains an extremely low amount of THC, so it won't get you high.
A lot of different people, circles of people that just haven't talked to each other before, and everybody's just, you know, super positive vibes about all of this happening.
Even nurses are coming out of the cannabis closet. Jessie Lynn Dolan has worked in opioid addiction management for 7 years and is part of the Vermont Cannabis Nurses Association. Their goal is to educate and answer patient questions on cannabis use.
And everything we're learning now is how amazing cannabis can work for many people, for pain and for withdrawal instead of continuing to use opioids.
I wasn't able to speak with anyone against the legalization of cannabis at the celebration, but many point out it's still illegal on the federal level, and more work needs to be done for roadside testing, something cannabis supporters also agree with. Reporting in Johnson, Dom Amato, Channel 3 News.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the DC model. The buy a T-shirt, buy a $40 T-shirt and get an eighth of weed in the label.
Yeah.
Free. It's a pretty good model. It's worked pretty well at DC until they started rolling up the festival. So yeah, you'll see those festivals pop up, I'm sure. Cannabis entrepreneurs are very creative, so I expect them. I expect them to go use the full extent of the law as much as they can. But there you go. You can, Vermont kind of did it right. If you're gonna, there's another state that did it right. Of course, they did it through the legislative process. They were the first ones, not the initiative process. So they seem to have done it right. CBD hemp, yeah. So Vermont's made that transition. They went from the CBD marijuana, medical marijuana, to the full deal, the full Monty, as it were. And I think that's ultimately what's going to happen throughout all of these states. And of course, that argument will be used over and over as more states legalize, and you'll find on that normal blog the list of states that are. Delaware is looking at it. New Hampshire just had a poll come out, or a petition, signatures, this week. So, New Jersey, of course, is working on it this year. Probably going to happen. He's looking, hopefully, next January. They're hoping to do it. But, so yeah, it's going to turn over. It's going to go medical. It's going to go recreational. Now, what we need to do is figure out a way to protect the patients and make sure the laws that are going to tax and regulate the hell out of it to do all of these great things that is doing. Don't get me wrong. It's doing great things. It's also giving money to cops to arrest people and test people. But, some of these laws are reacting. Oklahoma's law is reacting to that and is making it, look, you guys don't have to worry about figuring out how much blood level of THC is in the blood because it don't matter.
Don't matter.
It don't matter.
They can function. It don't matter. I love that idea.
If they can pass a sobriety test, aloha.
Yeah. More power to you.
Move along. Move along.
CBD, huh?
These aren't
Just
the stoners you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, these aren't the intoxicated ones.
These aren't the potheads you're looking for. So I think that's great. That is a great, great law. The Illuminati, I think I am smoking all sativa today, as a matter of fact. I'm definitely blue dreaming. I'm definitely blue dreaming from the tincture.
DSP, how much are they going to change the initiative in Oklahoma? Well, they're not doing a special session right now, and they're letting the health department make up the rules.
That's right. They're letting the health department make up the rules.
So we'll see what happens.
And then when the legislature comes back in, whenever that is, probably
January.
After the summer. Is it January?
That's what they said.
Okay, there you go.
They say January? That's awfully far away.
It seems like it seems like they're out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll check into that. But what are they going to? I'm sure they got other things to worry about. Will of the people and all, 57% mandate, as the Daily Dope Show called it. And yes, indeed, we do watch the Daily Dope Show. Whenever he puts up a segment, you missed your weekly podcasts. You haven't really been doing those, have you? But you're busy. Brandon is a very busy man. He's has patients he works with. He's trying to help the Flint water crisis. So a lot going on
Flint
on his
still
plate. So
does not have clean water.
that's right. But the Republicans are meeting with the Russians.
Having Stoli on the 4th of July.
So yes, absolutely. Subscribe and watch the Daily Dope Show and check out his segments. Covers the Midwest and the drug war extensively. News stories, much more so than we do here on DC 420 LA. We just like to get high and talk about it because we love cannabis. My co-host in life.
We do love cannabis. I do respect the idea that it may not be for everybody, but I don't, of course, at all ascribe to the fact that it could hurt anyone. But I think some people may get paranoid with it or may get, feelings that they don't want to have with it. So I respect that those people are out there. I'm not one of those people.
No.
But I respect that they exist.
Well, I think the only reason I think people who haven't tried it should try it, because it's not going to be, if you can convince them, it's not going to turn them into, make them psychotic, is to really get a sense of what a small dose of THC does, as opposed to a 6-pack of beer or a shot of whiskey or a shot of tequila, even,
that's just poison.
Fox would do. But they compare it so much to being intoxicated. With alcohol, it's like, oh, we can regulate alcohol, we can test for alcohol, but we can't test for cannabis. It's completely different. And that Oklahoma law actually really...
it was written by somebody who uses cannabis.
Written by somebody that uses cannabis. That is the green movement or whatever it is. Certainly. Bud, Mr. Bud Grower, whatever his name was. He's a user, obviously. So let's move on to this next story coming out of Massachusetts, because, of course, Massachusetts seems to have gone radio silent now that recreational is legal, and they have no stores open. But they usually report weekly on stuff coming out of WWLP, lots of different stories, and there weren't very few this week. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's just me or them, but here's one. Sure.
A new report revealed a percentage of Massachusetts residents are high on marijuana behind the wheel. A Department of Public Health study found 21% of Massachusetts adults said they used marijuana in the last month, and about 1/3 of those adults said they've driven under the influence of marijuana.
Anything that would impair your ability to make decisions, especially driving, is what would be concerning to me. So as far as that goes, I would not want to see somebody behind the wheel if they're impaired while they're driving, regardless of what it is.
Driving under the influence of marijuana is just as illegal as driving under the influence of alcohol. More than half of those surveyed said they believe marijuana has no medical risks.
Well, that's certainly true. But that's, well, okay, so 21% admit of the percentage of people that use marijuana. And I'm probably that's higher, I'm sure. But like I say, it's a different story. It is a different story. And there's no worries. There's nothing to worry about. This is from Marijuana Moment this week. They picked Kyle Yeager, writing over there now. Picked up marijuana dispensaries don't increase crime, study finds. But within this study from the conservative RAND Corporation, who studied the issue, beyond the decrease in violent crime and property crime, the DUI arrests. One last finding, the researchers briefly touched on concerned rates of DUI arrests, though it is difficult to come to a definitive conclusion about the relationship between DUI arrests and legalization, in part because the crime data doesn't differentiate between substances, and there's currently no technology that can detect active impairment from marijuana, which can stay in your system for weeks. The researchers did find a significant increase. The researchers did find a significant increase in DUI arrests in countries with dispensaries. Studies and surveys have consistently found that access to legal cannabis leads some to use marijuana as a substitute for alcohol and various prescription drugs. This is true. However, here's where it gets interesting. So here we are. We're replacing opioids and alcohol with marijuana in these states with dispensaries, and we've known that's true. We've heard that reported. That's Real news. However, quote, the potential positive relationship between dispensaries and DUI arrests we find in our analysis suggests that either increases in marijuana-impaired driving exceed reductions in alcohol-impaired driving, a hypothesis we find highly unlikely, or that the opening of dispensaries induced use of both substances among those who are willing to drive impaired. More likely, the paper determined.
Both substances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it always involves alcohol, and the alcohol or the drug only numbers are going down or not increased. So people drink alcohol. Marijuana does. There was a story on that on how marijuana does increase marijuana and alcohol's effectiveness, if you will. It's never a good idea to mix alcohol and marijuana.
Just stop drinking booze if you use cannabis. I'm just going to say it. Stop drinking booze. It's a tool of the status quo. It's a tool of the man. It makes you fat, sick, tired, and dull.
If you just use cannabis, your arrests are going to go way down.
Yeah.
Those numbers are there. That's what's in this study.
And alcohol is poison, you guys. Yeah. It's poison.
And but like even there was a case in San Diego which got dropped this week because of a mistrial of the lady that said, oh yeah, she smoked, she got in the car, she was I forget what the quote was, but it was like she was catastrophically high.
I should be catastrophically high. Pass me the lighter.
Here's the lighter. We need to be catastrophically high because we're not getting behind a wheel. But that was thrown out because of a mistrial because of it was poor statements on the part of the officer. The officer blew his report.
I've never been catastrophically high.
There was alcohol, but here's the point with that story. Alcohol was included in that arrest as well.
Oh, here.
She was thanks. She was double over the legal limit of alcohol.
Stop using alcohol. Don't drink.
These stories never involve cannabis alone. And I'll challenge anyone to find that story as well and send it to me if that happens. It always involves alcohol or some other substance.
Yeah. Alcohol.
And you are seeing marijuana replace those things in studies across the country. And but do drinkers also use marijuana? I'd say yes. I'd say people are going to drink, are they more prevalent to use marijuana? Yeah, I'd say that's the other way around. I'd say alcohol might be a gateway drug to marijuana. But you definitely can eliminate alcohol. It's a little more challenging to go out. But in states that provide edible options, it's quite easy.
You know what?
To enjoy yourself.
It's nice. I think of it as an act of civil disobedience.
To not drink?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
that's where I am.
It's an act of preventing breast cancer too,
and Alzheimer's disease.
And Alzheimer's disease. Yeah. So it's good.
But it's also an act of civil disobedience because the mainstream sanctions, supports, and promotes alcohol use, and it is poison to the human body. What does that say? It just contributes to a medical industrial system that makes money if you're sick.
And maybe purposely.
I say civil disobedience all the way.
And an act of civil disobedience is doing what we're doing now because YouTube, Facebook, everybody's shutting people down for recreating from their states that allow exactly what we're doing. Whether it be medical or recreational, we do both. So, acts of civil disobedience are good as far as I'm concerned.
Totally. Cool.
So that was interesting that we actually had, I guess subconsciously we knew that story was next about the driving. You're good. You have a joint. That's
Thanks,
okay.
Son. I'll pass it over.
You need a lighter though, don't you?
Well, I guess because I'm in the fan. Do we have another story?
We have another story. We have another story. Well, that's it in the East. We only have the 2 stories, which I found really strange this week. We kept looking and looking.
It was a light
stories.
week, so
Well,
that's why we got to talk about normal.
And it was actually, even on Marijuana Moment. I mean, it was everything was sort of under the radar this week with the FDA and hemp and
well, it
no
was
big
on other
news.
things.
I think last week was so news packed.
Yeah.
That we're several weeks have been news packed. We're very.
It's true. It was super newsy.
We're what do you call it? We've been. Can't think of the word. So let's move on to the West.
Right, Daily Dope. Millions of stoners drove home after the 420 event in their town. 0 accidents. 4th of July, 40% of all traffic deaths yearly happen during the 4 days around the 4th of July.
That's right. That story
all
always comes
alcohol
out.
related.
And
Dude, I refused to leave the house on the 4th of July.
It was
would not leave.
We were on
Nope.
fire watch, first of all.
No, I'm not going out because of all the damn drunks.
And the drunks. Yeah,
Anyway.
it's crazy. No, and it was really hot.
Okay, I'm getting hot now.
Okay, so what's cool? Well, we're almost done. So that's good. And which means we might make tacos and vegan donuts. Sorry, Vegan Metro.
Let's go.
But we're going to move into California. Basically California is our only story. We got couple of stories regarding the pot-pocolypse.
That wasn't.
The pot-pocolypse that wasn't, essentially. Or maybe that's what caused the big heat wave out here in California. The giant pyre.
The pyre.
The $350 million pot pyre that happened in San Bernardino.
Oh.
But it wasn't a festival like the Chalice Festival said.
They should have made it a festival.
Never mind. They canceled it. It was such a hassle. Back and forth, the Chalice Festival. All these festivals. It's more illegal now that it's legal, people.
Yep.
It's more illegal now that it's legal. And the black market is flourishing. Good job.
That's right.
Good job, everybody. So the Chalice Festival said, "FO, we're not doing it this year," because they couldn't get it worked out. The other festivals barely made it, the big ones. So the festivals are having trouble. It's nuts. July 1st, of course.
We were invited to Hemp Fest in Seattle.
We are. We're gonna go.
We can't go in August.
No, we can't go.
Not this August.
We're gonna be in Maui.
Well, yeah, it's after that, but anyway, we still
can't go.
Too much traveling. Anyway, next story.
But the pot-pocolypse was worrisome, but I guess most people prepared for it. And they either were ready, sold out of what they needed, or made a little video smashing some vape carts that they had in the back room that probably weren't accounted for.
Do you have a news story on it?
Oh, we do. Here we go.
Let's see.
And some dispensaries were worried there wouldn't be enough product after regulations updated. Action News reporter Sierra Stark's got a look at how things shaped up for local dispensaries.
You could call it another green rush at Big Sur Cannabotanicals, but this time it was everything must go.
So if you come in tomorrow, and for the first part of this week, you will see that our shelves are a little more barren.
Usually there are 20 to 30 strains on the back wall. Now there are 8.
And it's really a result of, the manufacturers and distributors waiting for testing results.
Starting July 1st, California is requiring pot shops to sell only marijuana that has undergone stricter testing for things like pesticides, potency, and contaminants. Now, there was a fear industry-wide that there aren't enough labs in the state to handle the testing, so restocking dispensary shelves with compliant product would be problematic by the deadline.
In most cases, they told distributors a 5 to 7 day turnaround on testing results. And what we're seeing is 15 days plus to get that here.
The stricter regulations also include packaging.
The new ones that we have coming in, they're child-proof. They have seals on them, tamper-evident seals.
Over at Monterey Bay Alternative Medicine, staff say they have not seen a shortage on their shelves.
We actually didn't really have an interim of emptiness. We're pretty stocked full. We have a lot of companies that have already been going by the compliant laws, so we were able to get in a lot of products sooner and keep it and hold it until today. So that helped out a lot.
So you may be wondering what happened to all of that product that was not sold by the July 1st deadline. Well, according to state law, it had to be destroyed. But good thing for MBAM and Big Sur Cannabotanicals, both, they sold out completely. Reporting in Carmel, Sierra Starks, KSBW, Action News 8.
She definitely smoked.
What if you destroy it by having people smoke it.
I know it had to be either they mulched it or they had it. What they did was they composted it, putting it in a dirty box.
Terrible.
Whatever that means. And or they smashed the vape carts so they were unusable.
Gross.
And then they videoed. So here's the thing: there's no way to track. The BCC has no. They're not going around collecting the weed. They didn't do that. It wasn't a big bonfire. It wasn't a big party. It wasn't like a big grow where they hack it all down and they burn it. None of that went on. The dispensaries were responsible for basically just clearing off the shelves, making sure whatever was going on sale July 2nd was compliant, which there are 31 labs in California that are licensed as of right now. And they, if, the guys, companies are waiting for their product to come back. They're waiting for their stuff to come back because it's got to be tested on different, at different points through a process, depending on what it is, if it's flour, if it's concentrates, if it's an edible, blah, 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 blah. And it takes time, and there's only so many things, and they're slow rolling all of these licenses. The county of Los Angeles actually just banned it. The county in unincorporated areas, cities and all over the county are legalizing it. But the county said, nah, unincorporated areas, no, we don't want it.
Areas.
We don't want it.
Ridiculous.
Los Angeles, city of Los Angeles just started licensing grows.
Yeah.
In the city. Yeah. That's all gonna come online. So if you want to make money in this business, find a way to start a marijuana lab in whatever state you're in, because they are going to be raking in the cannabis cash. Vegan Metro, I think if California, we don't say Cali, by the way. Californians don't call it Cali. I'm sorry.
Cali.
I think if California had to get rid of that much weed, that should let people in LA fill the Staples Center and then just burn the cannabis at Half Court and hotbox the building. Oh, man, that's in a movie.
They never get the smell out.
We're gonna put that in a movie.
I want to open a button care. I really do.
Oh yeah, that's on the list now, guys. We've gone from a virtual dementia tour for Southern California to a button care in Canada and in Southern California.
It's how the movie ends.
What?
I just ruined the movie.
The Last Resort. See how they stole our title?
Anyway, I do.
Okay, here's our next story in coming out of Los Angeles that I put up today on DC 420 LA. Make sure you subscribe, get notifications for when I put up a video or we go live. We do this. We do this every Sunday at 420 Pacific for the love of cannabis. We spark up, talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, the politics of pot, and cannabis cures with lots of great friends in the chat today. Our hero, Alexis Bortella, is in the chat. The Daily Dope Show, an amazing marijuana media personality,
most illustrious
is in the
guests.
chat. Most illustrious desk. We could say that now that Jesus and Mero are gone. Veg Scrog Bloom, I haven't said hello to you.
Oh, it's great.
Welcome to the show.
Love
Real
all
Jingy.
up in it. I love it.
Real Jingy's in the house. We know Fishballs and other folks are over in the
great.
Periscope. Phil
Blaster
Britton.
Master.
Phil Britton joined in. Oh, I saw a Dark McKnight in there too.
Right.
Lots of folks jumping in today. So glad to see everybody and see
most
the new
illustrious
folks.
guests.
Let's talk about more about what happened in the POT-POCOLYPSE here in California, where you can just get a handful of marijuana products in the recreational and medical marijuana dispensaries. Once again, I'm sure the patients suffering the most under this draconian attempt to steal our liberty and our money.
My mom is in a legal state, California, and she can't get cannabis.
Not in a federally funded facility.
I mean, not legally.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You
know. Just saying. That's all. We're just saying. But okay, let's take a look at the story.
There's an abundance of space on store shelves intended to show off marijuana products at All About Wellness.
I would say we're down at least, I'm going to say 60 to 75% of what we would normally have in there, but every day it's increasing.
Philip Blurton owns this dispensary, still adjusting to regulations on packaging, labeling, and tougher product testing that went into effect July 1st. He says state testing labs can't get through the products fast enough, limiting supply.
I think the industry in a whole was not prepared.
In the days leading up to July 1st, stores like his tried to sell everything they had, knowing the products wouldn't be compliant under the new rules.
We actually lost money because Otherwise, everything has to be destroyed as of July 1st. And we'd rather have patients and customers have the product than have it go to waste.
The Bureau of Cannabis Control tells us there are 31 licensed testing labs in the state, and the BCC has not heard of any backup leading to supply issues.
You really know what you're getting rather than someone just saying this is what this is.
Colton Bess at Delta Health and Wellness is fully stocked.
We prepared for the transition period. We carry products that are fully compliant, fully tested.
He says the changes will benefit his business and customers.
Everyone gets to see harvest date, testing results, know that their stuff is safe. Everyone gets to see what they're getting. It's quality assurance.
These new rules, the latest set of adjustments in a growing industry.
I think, if anything, this is the most resilient industry because the people believe in it the most.
What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? DC here. Be sure to join us live on Sundays at 4:20 Pacific for DC 420 LA, The Week in Weed, the show where we spark up and talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, the politics of pot, and cannabis cures. That's DC 420 LA on YouTube. Follow the channel link and get notifications for when we go live. And now you can watch live on Steam It through DLive at DC 420 LA. See you on Sunday. Pot for peace. Pot for peace, indeed. Pot for peace, indeed. You can indeed see us here every Sunday at 4:20 Pacific.
Except next week.
Except next week. No, we'll do something at 4:20. It will be not a full show. It will be an abridged show from the road. We are talking about taking the show on the road anyway. Let's figure out how to do it. Maybe I'll come up with some amazing ideas over the next week and figure that out, because I will be hopefully working a little bit. Once again, been an awesome show. Great contribution in the chat, everybody. It's been amazing. Every week just gets better and better with the conversation and the information and the people, the illustrious guests.
Yes.
And of course, any of our illustrious growers or activists or anybody would like to come on the show, we certainly can do that. We're avoiding politicians.
Yeah.
We're avoiding politicians, but certainly activists and
people who have
growers,
crossed lines or possibly crossed lines in their life or afraid that they may have crossed lines. Don't.
And you're in the public space, No, but we just find, a lot of the politicians, cannabis is the issue. They say immigration is going to be the number one issue this year. I think cannabis is a close second, if not even more so. Supreme Court might have taken up some space.
I think a lot more people are going to come out to vote. And I think that we each should make sure of that as much as possible if you're somebody who believes in voting. I still believe in voting, but I'm not going to hassle people who don't. I don't know.
When more people come out for a primary in Oklahoma to vote on the issue of cannabis than showed up in the entire general election in 2014,
that's pretty great.
Cannabis is a big issue.
That's true.
And getting medicine to people is a big issue, and this opioid crisis is a huge issue. So they all interlink, they all overlap. So, join us here every week when we talk about these issues across as many platforms as we can to get this information out, how it's being covered in the media, how the politicians are using this issue to move, sheepdog people in this election season, the most important election of our lives. They all say that, but this one is it. This one is. And you know what? That's going to bring people to the polls. And both sides, all three sides, independents, Republicans, Democrats, support cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
It crosses all demographics.
Everybody
So they're going to come in to vote. They're going to vote for the orange Julius Caesar's people or issues or whatever, or they're going to try to vote to get him out because of the Supreme Court. They're also going to support cannabis, unless it's an establishment Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
But those,
But you might be able to push an establishment Democrat because of the groundswell that is.
And because
they're poll readers.
They're all using it.
They're poll watchers.
Chuck Schumer.
Chucky the Shoe. You can say, hey, mainstream guy, Chucky the Shoe thinks of this is good too. So, something we can all agree on. They like unity, so we can all agree. Cannabis. Let's get it happening. Let's show the people Oscar real quick. Because they've been asking.
Holy cow.
Here we go. Oscar Cam coming up.
Quick look at Oscar. and some leg. We have knees. We have
That's
knees.
okay.
Is the
I
other
have
dog
knees.
in the chair? No, he's not.
No, the other dog's. But the cat's on the bed.
Oscar looks like a supermodel.
He does.
The angle's
He's so
a little
sexy.
weird. If I move him, do you think he'll move?
Yes.
Okay, but he does look sexy.
He's pretty
Camera's
cute.
up there, buddy.
He's pretty
Camera's
cute.
over here.
Anyway,
Camera's up there.
guys.
Oh wait, no, I didn't cut to it. Wait.
Oh,
I'm
it's
talking.
just
They're talking
us?
about me reacting. There he is. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yes, cannabis is the #1 issue. We all agree. It's the #1 issue that they downplay, that they don't even know.
Want to bite me? Just a grumbly.
Let him. Yeah.
I think he's jealous of the new dog.
Yeah, a little.
Oh,
yeah,
wait.
try
Oh,
partisan. Everyone should try it.
And then there's Jack. Wait. Okay. Well, there's both of them. We got a shot of both of them
Oh, you got them both.
with Chella's legs.
If I got out of the shot, the cat would show. But
Jackpot
I'm
on the
afraid
left.
If I move.
And Oscar Grumbledore.
Jackpot.
And looking
Oscar.
very, very relaxed.
Can you
These
see
cannabis
Oscar?
these
He's
cannabis
so
canines.
dark.
They get some Wiley's prize.
Yes, they haven't eaten today. They're just cool.
These are just chilling dogs today.
They're chili dogs.
And Jack has been great today with the peeing
And
outside.
Booba too.
So we're very pleased. We're very pleased. And we're pleased with today's show, Chella.
Yeah,
it's been a great
good
show.
show.
All of the guests have been great.
Yeah.
We encourage people coming out of the cannabis closet,
Yeah.
whether it's for medical or for recreational, and you
smoke weed every day.
like
Every
we
day,
do.
every day.
We certainly think that's a great idea, and we invite you to not only do that, but also to join us here next week in some form from the road. We're going to do maybe a little reporting, maybe make some videos, put those up. We're definitely going to check in at 420 on Sunday, probably here on YouTube.
Yeah.
Since our main platform and all the great, we love everybody, but we've had more viewers today live in YouTube. So we're going every week. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe, get notifications, share with your friends. If you enjoy the content, we're really, you could throw us some money if you want, but we want to get the information out, and we want to get people to enjoy the show. So let people know about what we're
Come
doing
out of
here.
the closet.
Come out of the closet, share the channel, and join us here
Tell
next
us
week.
why you use cannabis. Tell everybody why. Write your Congress members. Do the thing.
Free the plant, free the people.
That's right.
Pot for peace, everybody.
Like tomatoes.
See you next week. On cue.
Wow, that's amazing.
The murderers keep murdering. The churches keep a-burning. The rapists keep a-raping. And the tide ain't turning. Uncle Sam, for all your power, things get worse every hour. It seems to me your energy's unwasted, chasing my friends and me. So hey, Uncle Sam, hey there, Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone.
Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Ciao.
The terrorists keep terrorizing. Our leaders keep a-lying. The haters keep a-hating. And the planet's dying. Uncle Sam, do what's proper. Call off your dogs and your helicopters. The problems of society were not caused by my friends and me. So hey, Uncle Sam, hey there, Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. How many innocent people gonna be imprisoned? We just peace and love and street pop and brotherhood freaks. A touch of Mother Nature never made nobody violent, never made nobody hate, nobody will break nobody's peace. It's never been shown to be harmful don't you tell me no lies with your caffeine, codeine, nicotine eyes. The cannabis ban is just recent, just since 1938. To re-legalize it, realize it, you made a big mistake. Hey, Uncle Sam! Hey there, Uncle Sam! Leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, understand I love you, but leave me alone. Smokers alone. Leave us pot smokers alone. Our leaders keep alive.
Now they're on it.
Leave us pot smokers alone.
This drug is dangerous. You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about. And trying to send that message with clarity that good people don't smoke marijuana.
Smoke weed every day.
Mr. President, how do you think the Trump presidency would be different if perhaps President Trump enjoyed cannabis?
That would calm down, yes, and that's part of what we have to do to domesticate the beast. You know, that's one of the great attributes of cannabis that I would compare with tequila. When I go into a conference, for instance, so that I calm down and I'm ready to go on a stage, I have a tequila before going there. I have not tried cannabis yet, but one day I might. So it is, I mean, no surprise that in Seattle, for instance, the 50% of cannabis consumers work for Microsoft and for Bill Gates.
Yes.
So it brings you some enlightenment because you don't have all the refrains and all the limitations that we human beings have. You are more relaxed, more free to move on. That, in addition to the curative aspects of marijuana, or cannabis, which are really proven to be working pretty well. So I just see a great industry ahead, but more so, or maybe of same value as solving the problem that drugs brings into societies, into communities. So that we leave behind this war on drugs and we work on convincing capacities. And let me maybe close up with one example. We, all human beings, were created free, and since the very beginning. So in paradise, Adam and Eve were told by God, hey, Adam, please enjoy yourself. Have fun here, have sex, have whatever you want.
Yeah.
Have joy and happiness. But this apple, this tree, you don't touch it. You don't touch it. That's prohibited. And so Adam started saying, Jesus, this must have something good, this apple. And he convinced Eve, let's go for the apple. So prohibited things are very attractive to people, to human beings. So they went for the apple, and they paid the price. What if God would have told them, look, Adam, come here, come a minute. Let me tell you, this apple has worms. It's going to be bad for your health. It's going to be bad for your stomach. Yeah. Don't eat it. Yeah. I'm sure Adam would have understood. Right. So what you have to is talk to people, is inform people, educate people, so that you use products that you consume with moderation. Yes. You can have a great
Smoke
cigar
weed every day.
Right now, once a week, no problem for health. If you have 20 of them every day, you have a problem. If you have a little bit of sugar in your coffee, fine. But if you have sugar in excess, So marijuana, drugs, same thing. Yes. Moderation, the key word.
We study cannabis culture across North America, and the most interesting thing to me, when you compare those who enjoy cannabis and those who don't understand it, and they have been really, really affected by years and years of prohibition and stigma. I believe that cannabis needs more role models. That's why I think it's great that people like you are out speaking. You must have known people in your life who have had cannabis as just a healthy part of a balanced lifestyle and still functioned at the highest levels of business and government, or Microsoft.
Anybody has to take his own decisions.
Yeah.
I've just decided, at least for the moment, not to consume, and I don't do it. And I don't have any desire to do it. But others think that they need it or they want to use it. Let it be. Yeah. So it's freedom at the very end, but also it's exercising freedom with responsibility, which means with information. You should know what happens on using a drug and what will not happen. Again, I come back to Mexico. What we need here is to get out of that stupid war on drugs, get out of it. Tell the United States, it's your problem, man. If you want to consume drugs, I'm not going to be stopping them in Mexico. I'm going to let them get to the border and you stop them there. And I say the United States is the most prohibitionist country in the world. In relation to drugs, is the one that more consumes. So it's proven that prohibitions don't work. And number two, once the drug crosses the border, who moves it? Who takes it to Seattle, who takes it to New York, who takes it to Chicago, and all that drug is distributed all throughout the United States. Where is the FBI? Where is the DEA? Where are all these security agencies? The United States is in the wrong war, and it's with the wrong ideas about that war. Fortunately, vanguard states like Washington State, like California, like Colorado, like many others are moving ahead now in a different thinking, and I think that's great to happen. So again, and I want to push this issue to be respected, to be informed people about it, and to move and break this paradigm that has not worked.
Smoke weed every day.